What is up, YouTube? This is Anashi here with a brand new Banlist update video. And man, what a list. They hit a lot of the problematic cards that we've been needing to have hit, touched on the decks that needed to be touched just enough to put them where they need to be, and now everything just feels clearer. Like a huge weight has been lifted off the shoulders of most of the players of my level, whatever you want to call it. Let's take a closer look. First off, they only banned 2 cards, but these 2 cards were absolutely phenomenal choices. First of which was Eclipse Wyvern. Eclipse Wyvern's been around for a very long time, and honestly, it does have significant relevance with just about every era of the game since the date of its release. Whether it be a part of Chaos Dragons, Light Sworns, Guard Dragons, you name it, it's been used quite a bit. So to see it hit on the ban list actually makes sense. I was expecting them to hit maybe Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon or perhaps Brotor, but this makes sense. The other card they banned was Phantom Knights with Rusty Bardiche. I think we all expected this card to get hit. I was kinda hoping it wouldn't because of course I use it, but that doesn't necessarily justify it existing. The card needed to go and, well, maybe sometime in the future we'll get our hands back on Rum Launch. Who knows? Now 11 different cards were put on the limited status. The first one being Altergeist Multifaker. This card was a little bit problematic, I suppose. It is a free +1 upon its activation, it set up its best interference move, and overall it was a very good card for the archetype. That's not to say that the archetype itself was overpowered, just that this card made them a little too efficient in what they did, I guess. Next up we have Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. This one's a hit to Guard Dragons, so it actually makes sense. And just like Eclipse Wyvern, it's had some relevance in the game since the date of its creation and release. But I'd like to think that Eclipse Wyvern was a smarter choice to ban. Salamangreat Gazelle. I think we all expected this card to go down to 1 because Salamangreat are just a little bit too efficient at what they do. Tempest Dragon Ruler of Storms. This frightens me slightly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand that out of all 4 of the Dragon Rulers, Tempest was technically the one that had the least threatening presence. But that doesn't change that this card's existence still makes me a little nervous. Not to mention the 3 baby dragons are still unbanned, I think. I don't really know how to feel about this. I instinctively feel fear, but maybe it's just a little bit of more flashbacks I have from seeing the deck at full power. White Dragon Wyverbuster. If they were going to touch Collapse Serpent, they were probably going to touch Wyverbuster, so this makes sense, I suppose. Daigusto Emerald. Welcome back, my old friend. It's good to see you back off the ban list, and no longer under the control and monopoly of Zoo. Salamangreat Circle. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect them to hit this card 2, or at the very least I expected them to hit it to 2. Hitting it to 1 really does slow the deck down. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still absolutely playable, it's just that, well, now you don't have 9 copies of Gazelle, you actually have 5. 6 if you include Lady Debug. Sky Striker Mecha Modules Multi-Roll. This was probably the only card they could have hit in the archetype that didn't completely just destroy the deck. Terraforming, going from 2 to 1, actually kinda upsets me a little bit. Can't even lie. And that's just because some decks need their field spells to be able to function. I mean, don't get me wrong, we still have Metaverse, but I feel like terraforming was necessary for a lot of older decks that relied on their field spells to be able to play, but it's not the end of the world. Trickstar Light Stage. This makes me happy. I have hated that field spell since the day it existed in the game. Don't get me wrong, Trickstars were not an overly powerful deck, barring their hand depletion loop, but this card right here irritated the crap out of me. And Metaverse going to 1. Well, never mind everything I just said about Metaverse when I was talking about terraforming. It going to 1 basically, well, it doesn't kill decks that rely on field spells because we still also have 1 set rotation, but I'm not gonna lie, I think that decks based around field spells are probably going to start dying out. I mean, I know why they did it. It was to make decks that used Mystic Mine and, to a lesser extent, Secret Village and Spellcasters less powerful, but, you know, collateral damage, what can you do? Now, 10 different cards went to 2 copies each, and some of these are actually kind of impactful, despite what people think about the whole semi-limits meaning nothing thing. Chaos Emperor Dragon is not one of the cards that matters. Chaos Emperor Dragon's errata has made it nearly, well, not unplayable, just useless. I mean, I'm glad to see it back in the game at anything higher than 1, but it really doesn't matter anymore. What does matter, however, is the hit to danger Jackalope. Sure, they only bumped it down to 2, but that means you're going to see it way less often, and that's perfectly acceptable to me. Then there's the matter of danger Nessie. The same realization I had with danger Jackalope. I was actually hoping Jackalope and Nessie were both going to get hit down to 1 each. But then again, that might actually kill the engines, so I don't know, maybe that was just hopeful thinking on my part. Now, the danger Tsuchinoko hit, that surprised me a little. Out of all the danger cards, I was actually kind of hoping they wouldn't touch on Danger Noodle here. Don't get me wrong, I understand why they did it. It's a free body no matter what you do, but comparing it to cards like Nessie and Jackalope is just kinda... well, maybe it's just personal opinion, but it doesn't seem like there's a fair comparison there. Aether the Heavenly Monarch coming back to 2 actually makes me a little happy. I kinda miss seeing people playing interesting Monarch decks. Not extra deck Monarchs, but legit Monarchs. I miss that. Monarchs did something really unique, and it paved the way for a lot of other tributing-based decks to do the same. But as long as Pantheism remains at 1, I don't think anyone's really going to be interested in the deck anymore. Elemental Hero Stratos came back to 2 now. You know what? That's fine. Again, this is one of those cards that, while not irrelevant, putting it to 2 doesn't really change the fact that it doesn't do anywhere near as it used to anymore. Inzektor Dragonfly coming to 2 though, that one has me a little bit concerned. You can continuously use their abilities over and over again and build terrifying boards. I've already seen what you can do with just 1 Dragonfly. 2 is actually a bit of a nightmare. But maybe Link Era will help to slow that down just a little bit, even though they did get a Link monster. Who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Performance Damage Juggler is perfectly fine. I don't really have an issue with this card. As long as Plushfire stays in the banned area, I really don't care that much about Damage Juggler. Now, Shurik coming back to 2. That's actually a bold move on the part of Konami. I like Shurik, I just don't know if it's a safe idea to let him back at anything higher than 1. Then again, I guess as long as Unicorn stays at 1, it's not the end of the world. And Royal Tribute going to 2, damn it! I hate Royal Tribute. This card was annoying. Back in the day, this card was a menace. It was the only thing that Gravekeepers ever did, aside from Necro Valley, that was an actual issue. But whatever. I guess they really want older decks to be able to play a little better, and given that more decks are running higher numbers of monsters with hand traps and whatnot, I guess it's not the end of the world. I just really, really hate Gravekeepers. And wrapping it all up with the cards that are no longer limited in any way, shape, or form, we have 8 changes. Cleaport Scout finally came back to 3, which, if memory serves, means that Cleaports are now at full power again. Fantastic for them. If I'm gonna face any Pendulum deck, I would like it to be Cleaports, or maybe Dynamist, because they're enjoyable to play against. Sure, back in the day they were a really, really nasty suppression system, but as of now, I think most people just play disc spam anyway, so you know what, I'm cool with this. Luster Pendulum the Draco Slayer, back at 3, kind of an interesting choice. I don't mind it much, because Plushfire, again, is still banned at the moment. Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I actually don't have an issue with this card coming back to 3. It has not seen play in such a long time, I honestly think people just forgot about it. Except the occasional rogue player wanting to be a meme lord or something. Dark Hole at 3 though, that one has me a little confused. On the one hand, I love Dark Hole. It's been my go-to field disruption card for the longest time. On the opposite side though, I play Raigeki in all my decks now, and comparing the two, there's really no comparison anymore. Dark Hole is just inferior to Raigeki. But at least one of my decks will love seeing Dark Hole at 3, mostly Fire Kings. Monster Gate though, that I'm not a big fan of. I know of at least 3 decks off the top of my head that will gain a major consistency boost from this card existing at 3. But you know what? It's not the worst card in the world, and as long as it's not Reasoning, I guess it's okay. Rekindling coming back to 3 though. I can't lie, I'm extremely happy to see this card back at 3, not just because I play Fire Kings, but because Fomvel, Fire Kings, and other decks that focus around having fire monsters with 200 defense need this. Super Poly at 3, I'm not happy about. Super Poly as a whole is an overpowered card in my opinion. It can't be responded to, it uses fusion materials from both sides of the field, and the decks that it's used in are usually problematic ones. To be honest, I kinda expected it to come back to 3, I was just really hoping it wouldn't. And finally, Solemn Judgment coming back to 3. To be honest, I think I'm okay with this. I don't know for sure, because seeing all these counter cards that negate almost everything in the game at a moment's notice, regardless of the point cost, because apparently paying points doesn't matter anymore, has me feeling very nostalgic and very fearful at the same time, and I'm not really sure which sensation wins out right now. And that is the entire ban list. They made a tremendous number of changes, and I'm actually happy with nearly every single one. I'm gonna miss Bardiche, of course, but you know what? I can live without it. My deck doesn't die because of it, and it's the one hit on the last 4 ban lists to my Dark deck that doesn't completely rip its asshole open. So, now that this ban list has been released, I can finally start updating my decks again instead of fearing what they're going to hit. So look forward to seeing some new deck profile videos in the near future. In the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.